This is Southeast Football and the John Mumford Show.
The John Mumford Show is brought to you in part by Curry Inn, McDowell Motors South, River Eagle Distributing, who bring you Budweiser, McDowell Motors Perryville, the Cape Girardeau Chamber of Commerce, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Kerber, Eck and Breckel, Schibelbeins, Orthopedics Associates, Daniel Safety Management, Soskin Toyota, Farm Bureau Insurance Services of Poplar Bluff, and Plaza Tire.
Watching Fox 23, less commercials and more entertainment.
This is Southeast Football and the John Mumford Show.
The John Mumford Show is brought to you in part by Curry Inn, McDowell Motors South, River Eagle Distributing, who bring you Budweiser, McDowell Motors Perryville, the Cape Girardeau Chamber of Commerce, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Kerber, Eck and Breckel, Schibelbeins, Orthopedics Associates, Daniel Safety Management, Soskin Toyota, Farm Bureau Insurance Services of Poplar Bluff, and Plaza Tire.
The #1 team in the country paid a visit yesterday to Houck Stadium as the Southeast Missouri State Football Indians wrapped up the 1999 season against, as we said, the Tennessee State Tigers. The game was a seesaw battle between the two schools and wasn't decided until the final play. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Rush, and along my side, the head coach of the Football Indians, John Mumford. And, Coach, your team gave everybody their money's worth yesterday and a whole lot more.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Pretty indicative of the young men that we have and the character they have. You know, they'll fight you till they don't have anything left to fight with, and they certainly did that last night. And you know, play here, play there. Could have made a difference for us in that ball game, as many close games do. But you know, nobody gave us a chance in it, and I was just exceptionally proud and feel very, very fortunate to have worked with these young men this year, particularly our senior group. I just thought that was a tremendous effort. You know, you talk about a goal line stand down there that our defense had, and 300 and some yards rushing out of our offense and our offensive line. Kids just all left it on the field. It was, you know, frustrating from the fact that we were in the ball game, didn't win it, but you know, to see young men leave everything out there like that's in a way very satisfying.
Tell you what, Coach, all week long you had talked about how that we wanted to stay with Tennessee State, just stay with them, and then you had your shot there at the end. It almost game planned exactly the way, except maybe just one more play.
One more play, or, you know, it could have been, you know, we were down in scoring position a time or two and missed a field goal, and we threw an interception, Chris, and, you know, there was 14 points possible right there, or 10 points at that time. And, you know, we kind of went to sleep offensively in the third quarter, I thought, and didn't get the point production. You know, our defense turned the tide in the second half. They slowed them down and held Tennessee State to 9 points and a half, and I don't think anybody's done that all year. No. So our defense played a great second half, and then offensively we really didn't start percolating until later on in the fourth quarter. So I thought that offensive lull in the third quarter kind of hurt us, and you know, we had some young kids in the secondary that were baptized by fire last night, and
say that again. They
hung in there very, very well. So you know, and they've got a lot of growing to do, but just to see, you know, young players like that get in there and battle, you know, it tells me they've got a great future ahead of them.
Folks, we've got some great highlights. Stay with us. You're watching The John Mumford Show.
As America's first choice in beer during the past century, we invite you to toast the new millennium with the same clean, crisp taste you've always enjoyed. Budweiser. Now in limited edition Millennium Magnums, bottles, and cans. Now, as always, this Bud's for you.
School's back in session. Time to strike up the band.
Is your child starting band this year? Give them the best start with an instrument from Shivelbines. Other music stores may have rental plans, but Shivelbines offers a low-cost monthly rental payment that covers repairs and replacement, as well as a purchase option for this serious band student. We're coming to area schools soon to help with your beginning band program. Ask for Shivelbines at your school band display.
Contact us toll-free at 1-800-455-5216. It's Shivelbines Music in Cape.
For the best break on tires, drop into Plaza Tire Service. Michelin MX4s are on sale. Plus, buy 4 and get a free alignment. For the best price on name brand tires, see Plaza Tire Service. Don't get shaken up over your tires. For fast, dependable service at the right price, come to Plaza Tire Service.
Coach, you were mentioned earlier in the week, and you've always used this joke before about how that the best way probably to stop Tennessee State would be to stop the bus in Illinois somewhere. But you guys showed up, played a heck of a ball game. It's one of the best games I think I've ever seen at Houck.
You know, during the warm-up, I don't know if folks were there, we had a little almost clash at midfield and everything, but Tennessee State, when they're done stretching, they'll stand at midfield and taunt you, and the officials seem to never do anything about it, and our kids were just coming in lines to stretch, and we had a little jump up and down and finger pointing and talking back and forth, and you know, I don't know, I guess from our player standpoint, they just wanted to say, hey, we're not backing down tonight, and it's always kind of it's a tight situation as a coach and the officials and everything, and there were some unsportsmanlike penalties offsetting assessed, but you know, a little bit of that, I thought, you know, afterwards, you know, the kids really said, hey, we're just not going to back down. So let's play and see what happens. And they did a great job. And, you know, you just saw nobody could hardly stand in the locker room after the game. Of course, it was emotional and everything, but from an effort standpoint, people were just dragging out of there. I'm sure some of the seniors probably recovered last night to go out and, you know, celebrate their last football game, although it would be a loss. But again, a very, very satisfying effort, except for the outcome of the game, Chris.
Let's go ahead and roll the highlights. This is a good one, folks. Let's talk about it. Field, a little choppy out there, Coach. You know, the field gets a lot of playing time, with the Tigers also playing on it as well. We got about a ½ inch of rain Friday night. So in the flats, the field a little bit wet. Tennessee State comes out, and DeMar Winston breaks up a play here.
Yep, DeMar missed that interception. He got up high for it, and we lost DeMar last night. Armand underwent surgery this morning, Chris, and I was impressed with the running back. I thought he ran hard, and here they got us on a formation, and you know, they do that quite a bit with their all their substituting and everything, and they just caught us there at the wrong time. And great run by K.D. Koleosho, and K.D. spins off one tackle, and he's going to come down the sideline, and you know, that's a great individual effort. Yeah.
See Leslie right there?
Leslie. I guess she got into it with some guy up in the stands last night, and he thought he knew how to coach and never coached or played in his life, from what I understand. So I was proud of her for standing up, and I think after the game she was kind of fired up. But here we have this is something we kind of stumbled on in practice. It's a shovel pass, but also we can, you know, deal the option on the outside, and Rashad is the type of guy that can handle that and do a good job of it. We get a nice gain out of Broderick. Broderick ran hard. He had over 100 again last night, and very, very proud of that young man. His blocking, and especially see him get these 200-yard games and get in the end zone like that. And you know, Broderick's been here for 4 or 5 years, and I'll tell you what, he's a class act as a young man. I'm very, very happy for him.
Tell you what, 18 carries, 119 yards for Broderick Benson. I went up to him after the game and I said, you know, I've watched you play every single game here at Southeast that you've ever played. I said, that might have been the best game I've ever watched you play, and he said, I think it was.
Yep, I think he definitely saved the best for last. And you know, here's one of these deals. You see us, you know, we're getting close on pressure at times, Chris, and everything, but they do a nice job getting the ball off. Defense holds up. They try a long field goal, and it falls short. And I believe we're one of the first teams, too, that has had a lead on Tennessee State in the half, too.
That's exactly right. We're getting ready to talk about it here in just a couple of minutes. And, Coach, this is amazing. Tennessee State has only given up 17 points all season long in the first quarter.
Yep.
Your team is going to put 14 on them. That had to make you feel good.
It did. It made us feel good, and the kids were playing hard. And, you know, we knew we were going to be in a track meet for a while. So you saw John Bourne catch a pass, and here you're going to see Rashad take him on the option down the sideline. Great job right there by Gerald Hewling. Used super judgment as far as not blocking in the back, and did a great job running his man off.
You take away the sacks for Rashad West, 17 carries, 182 yards on the ground. There were some sacks in there, so his net yardage is only 135. Listen to me, but what a 50-yard run a year. This kid is something special.
Yes, he is. He's got a lot of talent and a great feel for the ball game and a game of football. And there's a bunch of former players and fraternities down in the end zone, and as we appreciate their support very much, Chris. That is a great run by Rashad, and good call to get him down the sidelines. And really, their defense a lot of times made it very, very easy to run the option. They made some nice adjustments to halftime, and fun to see those kids having a good time in the end zone. That's where we're supposed to be.
Coach, you talked about a good call. We've got a couple of minutes here as we watch the celebration. Kind of on a sad note, Steve Schottle's father is still in very poor condition.
Yeah, Steve had to leave right after the game. He knew Friday that his father's been fighting a heart condition for a while. And, I don't know, he probably, knowing Steve, he didn't want it brought up or attention brought to it, but Steve's father is his idol and is a coach, longtime coach, and I know Steve draws a lot from his dad in that regard, and on the practical side too. So we wish them the best, and our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Tell you what, you're still going here. Tennessee State does come back, tie up the ball game at 14 apiece as we move here to the second quarter, and we talk about something special. Look at the line continuing to make blocks. Hey, we'll spring you loose. Get on down the field, Rashad.
Yeah, he does, and I don't know how that second guy hit him 2 yards out of bounds, but only the biggest disappointment I had, aside from losing the game, where we had a lot of penalties and got caught up in a lot of their trash talk at times, I thought was unnecessary. But
how about the rock?
Got John Bourne downfield, and you're going to see Broderick here hit it over our right side and give the ball to Broderick again. And you see guys on their backs 2 yards deep in the end zone. You know the line is doing a great job.
Southeast Missouri against the #1 team in the country, up 21-14 late in the first half.
We are, and they just have enough weapons and great receivers. You'll see a guy go up here, and I thought we had some real suspect calls. It's funny, Chris, sometimes I wonder, I thought this was the Indian highlight show, but I guess we got to show them doing something once in a while. But our DBs had their work cut out for us yesterday, and I thought they had probably some of the finest receivers around, and guys are tough to cover. Nobody knows what it's like to play a corner out there, to where you're one-on-one all day with guys with tremendous ability, and our guys fought and battled, and I know they probably wanted to stop a few more passes than what we did, but you cannot fault them for their effort.
At the half, down 26-21, caught you going off of the field, and you guys kept everything. You stayed with the game plan.
We did. I thought maybe a little bit offensively we departed in the third quarter a little bit, and we were running the ball effectively, and we tried to open it up a little bit, maybe hit a quick one on them, but we just could not get open enough, often enough to hit that big play like we have in the past few weeks. So we got back to the run game, then eventually got back in the end zone.
We have got some more great highlights to follow, folks. This game was not decided until the final play. We'll show it to you after this commercial message. Stay with us. You're watching The John Mumford Show. Halftime of the Tennessee State Southeast Missouri game, 26-21. At the half, we talked about it right before we went to commercial, that you guys stayed with the game plan and said, hey, fellas, what we're doing is working right now. No really any changes coming out. I had a chance to talk defense coordinator whenever he came back out, and he said, hey, we're going to stay with what we're doing right now.
We did. We did make one or two subtle coverage adjustments to try to get under the deep out, and I thought it was a real good job by our defensive staff in getting that done. Intended to slow them down a little bit, and again, resulting in 9 points in the second half. And we did make some big plays. Had a tremendous goal line stand, and you know, you talk about a gut check. That was one where we forced a fumble, recovered it in the end zone, got us out of the hole. So, you know, defensively, those kids all year have played extremely hard and made some big plays in tough situations, Chris.
You guys look like you had their number. Let's go ahead and roll to the highlights in this second half. As the folks in Southeast Missouri got to see it yesterday on KDKA, WDKA rather, Channel 49, and also broadcast back to Nashville. And well, I tell you what, this we talked about this running back, had a good set of hands on him as well.
He did, and I thought the young man ran extremely hard, as well as having very good speed, Chris. So, you know, there they are. They throw the hitch, and then they throw the go, and, you know, it's always up and back. And nice play right there. That was Charles Lewis, a redshirted freshman, and big turnover and big play right there. Jeremy Atwell lays out and makes a play. And Jeremy's a senior, and, man, what a competitor and ball player he is. He and Donovan Levinas both at that linebacker spot from Oklahoma, and you're going to see him just lay out. It's great coverage, great break on the ball, and young man has a super set of hands.
Good Scott Vealoff there right behind him, and Brian Hinton as well. And tell you what, congratulations to Jeremy Atwell. Coach, whenever you get 100 tackles in a season, Jeremy had 111 this season. That's a heck of a year.
Yeah, it is, Chris, and I'm sure he'll probably I'm anticipating that he'll receive some postseason honors. We'll know about that on a conference call tomorrow morning, and I think that you know, we'll have some players probably be recognized in the conference for their efforts this year. And you know, young man just eats, sleeps, and breathes football, and I think Jeremy eventually wants to get into coaching, and I think he'll be a great one.
Tennessee State got backed up in a hole here, 2 consecutive unsportsmanlike penalties. They threw the offensive lineman out of the game. Another holding call right there, and Coach, a lot of people started smelling upset right here.
Well, you know, things started moving our way, and this is a play right here where DeMar Winston broke his arm, and you know, he and KD Koleosho both had to be ambulanced off the field last night. KD has got a torn ligament in his knee, and they're going to evaluate that further this week. And KD, I'm real proud of him. He's really come along strong this year, ran extremely effectively for us, and young man that's made a lot of changes in his life and really come on strong for us. So I'm real proud of KD. And here's a goal line stand. Here we go right there. We're going to knock him back.
Donovan Levinas. Just love saying that name like that. Big play, fumble on the play. Fumble. Brad Richardson recovers it in the end zone. Wow.
That's what I said. It's just 2 words right there, gut check. And good job right here. You know, they called some suspect interference all night, and then that one we're laying all over the guy, and they don't call it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Good break up on the ball right here. I believe that's Charles Lewis again, and then they hit the field goal, Chris. So, you know, good stand by our defense there, and we don't like giving up threes at all, but you know, considering the point in the game, we felt fortunate to get away with that.
35-21, as you can see, a little over 8.5 minutes left to go. You've got to get a touchdown here, and Rashad West continues to weave the magic.
Yeah, and
look at the blocking, though.
Super job on the option. You see big Ian Walters, the senior out there. Leslie Weaver, super job downfield. And right there, you know, you don't understand as a wide receiver who's downfield blocking, Chris. A lot of times, you know, your back's to the play. A lot of times it just gets run up on it. Big Broderick right there carries about 4 or 5 of them with him and has a nice gain. And, you know, I bet you Broderick probably averaged, you know, 5-6 yards a carry the other night. And, wish I had this one back. We were in good shape here, and it was 7 minutes to go. And, you know, we knew we needed 2 scores at that time, and had just moved the ball down real nice. And like I said, wish we had it back. Got John Bourne on a pass downfield, and Big John, I think, had, you know, 3 or 4 catches last night, continues to do real well. Try to hit the slip screen right there to Leslie Weaver. We're going to come back with the option. And I thought this was, you know, right here they started adjusting an angle and slanting and run a linebacker over the top and try to slow our option down, Chris. And another good pass right here. We get the ball down to Bourne. John had his ankle rolled up right there, but continued to play. And I'll tell you, I've just been very, very fortunate to be able to coach him personally. John Bourne is a great football player and a good young man, and I think that you know, made my job coaching tight ends very, very easy this year.
4 minutes left to go in the game. You're down by 14. You know that you have to have the 2 scores to have a chance at winning right here. Boy, look at the blocking up front again. Broderick Benson. Coach, we talked about it the last 4 weeks, the way that this offensive line has come together. Look at the blocking right here, folks.
Yeah, it was a great job, and, you know, Coach Hudson's done a super job with those kids, bringing them along. And, you know, Ron Hudson's a hell of an offensive line coach, Chris, and I think that, you know, we're right here, this is going to put us down by 7. And after the game and last night, I was asked, you know, what were you going to go for, the 2 or what? We were going to play for the tie at home and go to overtime, and felt that, you know, we'd have a real good chance. And Seth Carrier kicked the ball through and you know, got them up off their seat finally and got some points on the board in the second half.
35-28. You get the ball back with about 35 seconds left to go. Almost.
Almost. Yep, it was real close. We get the ball to Corey Chester. We just need to, you know, we're going to move the chains there and get them stopped. And here Rashad's going to throw the ball out. We're going to get it out of bounds to Andy, and that's going to set us up for one shot down deep. And we run our Hail Mary. Rashad's going to scramble out to the right. Protection's good, and heave it up there and see what happens. And Tennessee State ends up intercepting it. And you know, I'm just glad we got the guy tackled and they didn't add injury to insult here. But you know, just a good game, and you know, I congratulate Tennessee State. I hope they represent the OVC in fine fashion. They're the #1 team in the country, Chris, and they certainly deserve it by going undefeated. I don't care what anybody says; it is tough to go undefeated. Deep down, I don't know how far they're going to go in the playoffs, so because they are very susceptible to the run, and if they run across somebody like Appalachian State or somebody like that can run the ball like they do, they may have a little trouble.
Coach, let's just take a look at a couple things real quick here. First of all, one of the best rushing games of the year against the #1 team in the country. Right. Also, the performance of Rashad West, your defensive backfield, the whole team effort. After the game, inside of the locker room, wasn't a dry eye in there. And you said something really special to him. You said, hey, fellas, we've got a lot to be thankful for.
We do. I mean, you know, it's a football game. You work hard for it, and I think that, you know, there are a lot. The things that these kids display during this season go way beyond football, and you know, they just understand how to bounce back, how to fight, and how to scratch, and you know, for that, you know, I was thankful to be associated with that, because they certainly deserve a lot better than what they received this year as far as, you know, their record, Chris. So you know, it was tough in the locker room, especially with the seniors, and you know, this group tended to bond together pretty good, I think, and better than the last few teams we've had the last couple of years on a personal and individual basis. So you know, that was tough on a lot of them. I couldn't even say the prayer. I had to have Andy Helly, and he didn't even make it through that. And you know, I deferred to him, but he had to struggle through that too. But great group of young men, and I think because of that, you know, as emotional it was in the locker room, that just shows, you know, how close they were together.
Guys, we're very tight. Charles Sabatini as well said, guys, you're the fightingest bunch of kids I've ever met in my life. He said, I'll never forget you guys.
Yeah, you know, even when there's nothing left to fight with, they were still fighting. So they'll do that, and like I said, they deserve better than what they got as far as the record goes.
Tell you what, folks, stay with us. We're going to come back and talk about the seniors that were on this Indian football team. Stay with us. You're watching The John Mumford Show. Welcome back to the John Mumford Show. And Coach, a lot of adversity the first 7 weeks of the year, and then a great turnaround at the end here in senior leadership. You talked about it in the bad, you talked about it in the good times.
Yeah, and you know, I really think that our seniors were the glue. You know, you start on defense, we lose some great kids, and DBs, Brian Hinton and Sky Howard. Sky was a kid we recruited a while back, and from a junior college, he didn't make it, but we held on to him for a year, and he only had 1 year of eligibility, Chris, but we're very happy to have him in our program. Scott Viloff, you know, a young man who just worked himself into a player, was a walk-on, and man, that kid's got a heart of a lion. John Smith, you know, for everybody knows him from Jackson, had some bone-crushing hits. John will be getting married in 3 weeks, so we're real proud of him for that. Atwell, Levinus, and Bowling. We've talked about those guys quite a bit. 3 guys that love the game of football.
Talk about missing some kids.
Yeah, David Bowling, watching him develop into a player from a walk-on is tremendous. And then Joel Becker and Brad Richardson, 2 guys in the defensive line that are just pure and simple. They're warriors. You know, they come and they're banged up, they're beat up, and they still play hard each week in and week out. King Kiefer and Ian Walters in the offensive line. You know, and I myself, I kind of maligned them early in the year, and I didn't think they were playing up to their potential, but they certainly finished playing, I believe, to their potential and beyond here at the end of the season. Chris, it was very gratifying to see that, and Chad King was a walk-on too, and developed into a starter and scholarship player. Ricky Smith and Broderick Benson, 2 running backs, have been in our program a while. Both those kids work extremely hard and gave us a great deal. And particularly Broderick, was proud to see him particularly develop into a real devastating blocker here toward the end of the season. And then at tight end, John Bourne and Brian Walker, and both are great young men, and had the privilege to coach them. And Brian had a knee injury, but you know, John made it through this year. And John Bourne probably averaged about 70 or 80 plays a game, so what a better deal for a great football player. So we'll miss them, and I'll tell you what, they're going to go out and do a lot of positive things for themselves and people around him, and heck, they're just good guys to be around.
That's one thing. I got a chance to be around him last night, and also got a chance to meet John Smith's fiance, very lovely young lady, and these are good kids, Coach. I mean, they're great men. I mean, they're just great kids.
I don't want to ask where you met them or hung around them out, Chris. I really don't want to know that right now, but I'm sure they enjoyed themselves, and John Smith is very fortunate. We wish he and his fiance a lot of happiness in the future.
Tell you what, Coach, it's been another great year of football, and it's been a pleasure to work beside you again.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much.
You're the man. John Mumford, the head coach of the Football Indians. Folks, we want to remind you that basketball season will continue here in the following weeks to come. We encourage you to go to the Show Me Center and support Southeast Missouri athletics in every chance that you get. For John Mumford, I'm Chris Russian, and also thanking the great staff that we have here at Southeast Missouri Video Productions. Folks, it has been a fun one. It's been our pleasure. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for watching The John Mumford Show.